Hello, my name is Jenna Holly, and I'm just going to discuss a little bit about the integration model and my thoughts leading up to challenges and difficulties that could potentially arise in the profession of being a LPC, a professional counselor, or licensed marriage and family therapist. So yeah, my journey on that specifically is I started off desiring to be a biblical counselor or a Christian counselor, wanting to work directly in a church or ministry, and not super interested in getting a license in it. And as we kind of read and saw in the textbook, some potential problems that could arise with that, one of which is not necessarily, as like Jay Adams says, like it's psychology is the enemy of Christianity. And I think as I went through my undergrad, I began to see how these are things that I want to mesh together. So that's kind of just a brief history in that regard. I think that's been the biggest thing of what has brought me to this point of wanting to do professional counseling in terms of being a licensed professional counselor or a licensed marriage and family therapist, is these two things and how they complement each other in such a setting as ministry. And so yes, and then some difficulties that I began to think of wanting to be involved in specifically the Christian setting is are things that we talked about in with code A 4B, talking about not imposing our beliefs upon one another or on our clients and things like that. And I think that will probably be one of the biggest issues that could arise, because, you know, being a Christian is like you want to share the gospel and not being able to necessarily, but being able to, I think the unique thing is like being able to be hospitable, and as we read at the end of the chapter, realizing we aren't their savior. We're not the ones who are going to be doing the fixing for the person, but we get to walk alongside them in the midst of a struggle. And so kind of just understanding, like, though I may not be imposing my beliefs, I can still shed Christ. And then again with the code 1 from the AAMFT, just not being able to discriminate. And I think probably the biggest thing is being able to converse with the supervisor about what would actually be most beneficial for the client who is a part of the LGBTQ community, if I ever foresee that being a harder client to work with. What is the most beneficial thing for the client? And that's the whole purpose behind it. So that's briefly some of my thoughts. So yes, have a great night.